Reverend Franklin Graham, it is such an honor and a privilege to have you in Canada. And we hear about all the incredible works that you do, but I'm wondering if you would share with us a story that means a lot to us, especially here in British Columbia. You ride motorbikes. Now,
Sure.
Does everybody know that about Franklin Graham, that he's a motorbike rider?
No, I don't know, but I've ridden my motorcycle from North Carolina to Alaska 5 times.
Wow.
And I'm going to do it again this summer.
Wow.
So I have ridden from almost every inch of this beautiful province of British Columbia, and it's a gorgeous, gorgeous area. But I was coming through here a few years ago on my motorcycle with a group of friends and pulled into Dease Lake. When I went in, there was a little restaurant, and I had a nice meal. And a couple of years later, I came back, and it was raining, foggy, cold. We were wet. Pulled into Dease Lake, went to the little hotel. I said, "Is there any place to eat?" They said, "Well, the bar, but it closes in a few minutes." I said, "Well, how about the restaurant up on the street?" And this lady said, "I don't know what she does." I thought to myself, well, I'm going to go find out what she does. And I go in, I say, "Are you all open?" She said, "Yes." And very few people were in there. Yeah. And this lady was a Christian lady. She recognized me. She said, "Are you Mr. Graham?" I said, "I am." But this lady was a Christian lady who was having difficulty. A lot of people in the community had turned against her because of her. She took a strong stand for her faith.
Wow. And
so we ended up getting to know her. We ended up buying that restaurant. And so Samaritan's Purse runs a ministry now to the young people in that area of British Columbia. Dease Lake is the administrative capital for the northern part of BC.
Wow.
And so
it's a very small place.
Very small.
And yet, there's so many incredible people that need some real help, and you saw that.
So no question, our native communities, and I think you've referred to them as First Nation communities in Canada, there is great need in these communities, and for someone to work with the youth. And so Samaritan's Purse, we have a youth center there, and we're going to continue to expand that. I'll be back up at Dease Lake this summer to visit it.
On your motorbike?
Yes, on my motorcycle.
And do you have a leather jacket?
No, we wear Kevlar.
Oh, okay.
In case we fall off, we want to keep as much skin as we can.
All right, that's great. So I imagine that was that lady's 1 in a million, that you would show up in Dease Lake, she would know who you are, and from that spawned an incredible opportunity and a miracle from God for that small place.
Well, we want to work in the northern communities because they're harder to get to, and a lot of people decide not to go because it's too remote. Samaritan's Purse, we're adding an airplane up here in Calgary so that we can support Dease Lake, so we can go back and forth. Otherwise, it's just from Calgary, it's a 2-day drive. It's a long way. And once you get up there, it's a long way out of there. So we find the best way to do this is by having our own airplane where we can get our people in and out when we need to, and bring the supplies into the restaurant. Because the restaurant's open to the community, especially to the young people, serving like hamburgers and French fries, pizza,
what
milkshakes.
every teenager likes.
Sure.
That'll draw them in.
And I like that too. So.
Yes, we all do. I was amazed to read your story and to hear that you didn't necessarily follow in the hero of the faith, the Reverend Billy Graham's footsteps right away. You had sort of your own story, and I wonder if you'd share a tiny brief bit about that, because I know for me, being a missionary daughter, I had to find Jesus for myself too, and the cross changed my life, and I wonder when it changed yours.
I was 22 when I came to that point in my life, but up to that point, I just, not that I didn't believe in God, I did, but I just didn't want God running my life.
Yes.
I wanted to run my own life, and I wanted to have fun. And so you could have fun, but there was still an emptiness in your soul. Something was missing. And I tried to fill that missingness with things, thinking that, I would get over it. But I didn't. There was still there's a void, a vacuum. And
I heard you had a little trouble with being out too late with a girl past curfew one time.
That's that too. But I just realized at 22 years of age that I was a sinner.
Yes.
And I just got on my knees one night and I said, "God, I've sinned against you, and I'm sorry, forgive me." if you can take my life, if you can take the pieces of my life and put it together, it's yours. And I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't think I've got the ability to live a life pleasing for you, but here's my life, take it and try it.
Wow.
And that night I gave my life, and when I prayed that prayer, I really meant it. It wasn't just something in the moment. I remember waking up the next morning and remembered the prayer I prayed the night before. I went, how am I going to get through this day? I don't know if I can do it this day. And each day, God has taken me. And the times I have failed Him, I said, Lord, I'm sorry, I have sinned, forgive me.
Yeah.
And that forgiveness is there, and the relationship is restored. So all of these, I'm 64, so that was how many years ago? 40 some years ago.
Long time ago.
But whatever, God has guided and directed me, and I've never regretted for a second. I just wish I had given my life earlier.
Right. I bet that was a good day for your family as well.
Well, I remember telling my mother and father, I think for them it was relief.
Well, we all know what it's like if we feel like our kids are struggling.
Sure. And it was relief for them. But my parents were always very good, giving me space. They never tried to force me into ministry, never tried to force me to preach, never tried to force me into my father's footsteps or anything like that.
Right.
I started, right after that, I went back to school. I thought, well, I'm going to finish my education while I can. My wife and I, we were young and just had one child, so we went back to school, got a degree in business. We were in California, and I packed it up, moved it to North Carolina. And today, and there was a man by the name of Dr. Robert Thompson, who was the chairman of the board here in Canada at that time. And Dr. Thompson took me all across Canada, introduced me. He had been in politics, so he introduced me to all of his friends from his political years in the various provinces, and that's how Samaritans first kind of got started in Canada.
Yeah.
So I'm just grateful for God that he took a nobody like me, a sinner, and that He's allowed me to do something for Him.